time struggling at school with writing, but then you've gone on to write musicals and comedies and books, and now this autobiography. But this particular autobiography, it's been a while in the making, this one, hasn't it?
Well, 66 years.
Yeah. I mean, you waited.
I had to live my life before I would chronicle it. But I did think about writing it. I think what you mean is that at the beginning of the book I talk about why write a biography, you know, because I was always a little anti the idea. You know, there seem to be so many celebrity autobiographies. Some people have more than one. My dear friend Stephen Fry's, he's got 3, and I don't think he's out of short trousers yet. So I thought I never thought I'd do it, and particularly because about 10, 12 years ago I did think about writing it. Well, after my dear friend and often colleague Rick Mayall died, which was a terrible shock for everybody, whether they knew, oh, there we are, that's a bit of fun. That was us on the road in the 80s, you see my mullet. And I was sort of angry at such a weird loss and Rick's unfinished life. And it was the wrong time for me to think about my own life, because I'm normally very positive and I'm not angry and I'm just generally very sunny. So I shelved it. But yeah, recently, I guess, you know, my mother died last year, so that was, and my father was already gone. So, well, you know, she was very old. I don't think the death of old people is a tragedy. It's very sad, but it's...
But there's contemplation, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, found myself an orphan and wondered what to... Yeah, I decided to write my autobiography, and I found it a very salutary experience. I mean, it's a fun book, but I don't normally think about myself, so I've actually learnt something about myself through writing it.
Absolutely, and look, over the years, so many people have loved your writing. We've had so many messages as well. Jake has already said, thank you so much for all the amazing laugh-out-loud moments you have given me over the last couple of decades.
Oh, my goodness.
And I mean, if you think about it as well, you were aged 21 when The Young Ones was commissioned. I mean, it's incredibly young. And am I right in thinking you wrote that first episode in just one night?
Yeah, that's a very rare moment when something like that happened. One of my early childhood heroes was Noel Coward, the sort of 1920s and 30s comic playwright, great, and he famously wrote Private Lives, his greatest comedy, in a few days. I also write very, very quickly, and he was something of a model. But that was a particular moment. I remember so well, January 1981, and Rick rang me and said, "Get out of the pub, Farty. I've got an idea I want to talk about." And it was his idea. He and Lisa Mayer, his girlfriend, were there, and they'd had this idea to do a sitcom based on these strange, mad characters. But they wanted Rick said, you know, you write plays, you have a go. So I went home that night and wrote what became Demolition. Yeah, I worked all night, and it was almost word for word when it hit the screen a year later. It doesn't normally work like that, and I don't think working fast is always the way to go.
Yeah.
But you know, when you've got an inspiration like Rick Mayall and he's just been blasting at you in the pub with all these ideas and things, and then obviously I had to put my bit in, which was all the words and characters and things. So yeah, it was a very, very special night, and it birthed a very, very special show. I think, certainly for me, it was my...
Gosh, I mean, so popular. I mean, you say in the book as well that you nearly ended up writing a sitcom for the Spice Girls.
well, I had an exciting moment when I thought I was going to. I'd actually... I love pop music. I love pop and rock, but I love good time pop music. The Spice Girls were such fun. I mean, it's difficult for people to remember. 30 years ago, it was such a fun thing, a breath of fresh air. And I knew them because I'd hosted the Brits 2 years running.
Got a picture. There
we go. Impossible to think I was once so cool that well, I wasn't cool. I wasn't cool then. Well, you're so kind, and that's coming from someone who is cool. But I'd hosted the Brits, and I got to know the girls. They called me Farty Spice, and they were such fun to be with. And after the second time I did it, I got this phone call out of the blue. It's Jerry. I mean, they were so huge then, you know. And she said, we think you and Richard Curtis, or just you, if he's too busy making his films, should write us a sitcom. Because I told them about how Richard and I nearly did a sitcom for Madness back in the day. It's all in a book. It's all in a book. Anyway, so Jerry said, you know, well, it's a sitcom. And I mean, can you imagine what fun that would have been? But anyway, a week later, she left the band. So...
Jerry!
I know.
What could have been, but as Ben said, it is all in the book. Ben's autobiography, What Have I Done, is out now.